Good evening, welcome to Central News for Friday the 13th of December. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Waikato towns have been transformed by large-scale paintings done by two touring street artists. The two artists have been on a New Zealand tour working on a large-scale murals, adding colour and life to otherwise dull streets. Behind this creative magic is Creative Waikato's Paul Bradley, who says artists Eno and Shida have left their mark on several key spots around our regions.
Well, Eno and Shida did this amazing New Zealand tour where they basically painted up a storm from pretty much from Wanganui through to Hamilton, and in between they painted in Te Kuiti and Taumarunui and did some amazing big pieces.
Over the Christmas and New Year break, many of us head away on camping and tramping trips around New Zealand, making the most of the summer weather. It is, however, a crucial time to be checking tramping gear, and the Waikato Mountain Safety Council are encouraging all tramping enthusiasts to go through a checklist before heading outdoors. Waikato spokesman John Greenwood says that there are several key things to make sure of.
Number one, tell someone where you're going and when you're going to be back out. Secondly, make sure you've got all the equipment you need, and find out if you don't know what equipment you need, take it with you and take enough food to last you for the period you're needing, because you need a lot of food while you're tramping.
Now for our region's weather, Saturday for you, Hamilton will have sunny spells with afternoon showers and light winds. Your expected high is 25 and an overnight low of 13. Tauranga, sunny spells with a chance of an afternoon shower. Your expected high is 24 and an overnight low of 16. Hamilton, Sunday is looking pretty similar to your Saturday. Sunny spells with afternoon showers and light winds. Your expected high is 25 and an overnight low of 12. Sunday for you, Tauranga, again similar to your Saturday, mostly sunny with a chance of an afternoon shower. Your expected high is 24 and an overnight low of 16. Just ahead, the increase in gambling around Christmas. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. It is the festive season, and that means an increase in spending, and sadly so does gambling spending. Cheryl Smith caught up with Harriet to share how this time of year can affect gambling in families and how we can prevent gambling harm this Christmas.
Yeah, I think Christmas time can be a pressure time for some people, and particularly if they've already got themselves in a situation where harm is being caused by the level of gambling that they're doing. Sometimes they're in that frame of mind where, maybe just seeking that, chasing losses and seeking a win to hope to recover sort of some money lost before Christmas. That can be a big one at this time of year. People realise, when they haven't got the money there and are sort of looking at their own gambling.
And what are the implications of gambling on families during Christmas and holiday times?
Yeah, I think with those kind of stresses for one person who may be gambling in the family, or maybe it's more than one, that there's not only the financial stress, but there's also the kind of distraction, so people are not necessarily communicating well with each other, and there's stress happening in relationships as well. And in severe circumstances, that's leading to sort of neglect of children or domestic violence, those kind of issues. If it's at a slightly less or a lower level than that, it still means maybe poor communication, maybe relationship issues and arguments are starting to happen, just because families don't often get together sometimes throughout the year, but they are probably going to get together at Christmas. And so there's added pressures around that. We sort of hope that people are going to relax and enjoy their Christmas, but that can be difficult if they're under pressure as well.
So what sort of strategies can be put in place to prevent family members from blowing all their money over the break?
Yeah, I think if anybody feels unsafe with their money around their gambling, like they'll know when they're not sort of sitting in front of the machine, because like over 70% of the people that seek help is for pokie addiction. So that's why I tend to sort of focus what I'm talking around, pokie machines. When they're not in front of the machine and they're realising the sort of losses that they've had, they might want to just see what can I do with the amount of money that I'm getting in close to Christmas, so budgeting things ahead, paying bills ahead even, rent and power and phone and those kinds of things that are definite commitments. And then even buying like Prezi cards, not necessarily to give as a Prezi card, but to put the money on that so that then they have the money to go and buy presents at a particular store, for their family and friends, and they're not going to be embarrassed that they haven't got the money. Yeah, just provides that bit of safety. The other thing I'd say is, if they can involve somebody that cares about them and their family, to say, well, hey, actually I'm struggling a little bit, can you help me out? Can you hold the money card, or can you, go shopping with me for Christmas?
So if people know that they struggle with gambling, especially at this time of year, what can they do to get help while it's still not too late?
Yeah, I think, as I said, involving somebody who cares about them is a good one. Whether it's you or the person that cares about you, we're available, of course, to be contacted as well. And so just some specialist advice over the phone, or, checking out our website, that kind of thing. There's also, we've got a takethetest.org.nz, which is more of a light-hearted sort of a look at, well, actually, have I got an issue with gambling? Just to check that out in a way that's a bit less invasive than maybe talking with somebody directly.
Why are pokies in particular so addictive?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one because of the way human brain chemistry works. So what happens is that when people are under stress, the thing that we're most naturally inclined to do is get ourselves away from that stress, and we try to find something that's going to provide us a little bit of pleasure or escape. And we're just naturally inclined that way. And so sitting in front of a pokie machine will do that. What it does also is bypass the logical part of our brain. So sometimes people are thinking, why can't I just stop? But the reality is that in our brain chemistry, a different part of our brain's functioning at the time that we're gambling, and risk-taking and pleasure-seeking to escape from stress. Our logical, rational brain isn't working. And so people will say the most terrible things about themselves to me, call themselves stupid, or, why couldn't I stop? Or, I had the idea before I went and then I just couldn't stop. But actually that different part of the brain is working at the time. And so people get trapped in a fast reward cycle, if that makes any sense, So they're getting a little dose of brain chemistry every time they're engaged with the machine, every time they're pressing a button. Because it's so quick, there isn't a time to think. And that's why we recommend pausing and, taking a break and walking away, so that people can actually come back to their sort of logical part of their brain and then evaluate, how much trouble they're getting into.
That's really interesting. So are you running any holiday or Christmas gambling awareness events?
Yeah, all the things that we're doing are have got that little sort of Christmas bent, little Christmas side of it. So takethetest.org.nz has got a Christmas focus. The Hamilton Public Library is doing their Kutuitui Hot Desk, and that involves community agencies being available. And again, with a Christmas focus, when families are under pressure sometimes at this time of year. So it's great to be able to be down at the library and, be approachable to people in a different way.
And what do you hope that the new year will bring for you and your team?
Yeah, we're already planning events for next year, so doing stalls and looking at shows and council events that are coming up. We're also looking at, which councils are doing gambling policy reviews, and how we're going to approach that, and just more of the same, looking to keep gambling harm in the public awareness, keep people talking about it and realising that instead of normalising gambling, we'd rather be keeping critical about what's actually happening so that people can avoid getting into trouble in the first place. But yeah, and just wanting everyone to have a happy and safe, relaxed Christmas as much as possible.
If you or anyone you know is experiencing problem gambling, you can visit the Problem Gambling website, pgf.org.nz, or email help@pgf.org.nz. Coming up next, we look at the electoral boundary changes for the Waikato seat. Welcome back. After each census, new electoral boundaries are determined for general elections, and with the population increase in Auckland, it has affected us here on the Waikato. I spoke with the current Waikato MP, Lindsay Tish. Welcome to the program, Lindsay. So who decides on the electoral boundaries, and do they coincide with the local body boundaries?
There's an organisation called the Representation Commission, which is headed by a judge and the Surveyor General and a number of other people from departments, and political parties are also represented. And it is a group that's formed to look specifically at the electoral boundaries after each census. And that then forms the basis with the provisional boundaries which are out at the moment. It forms the basis for the new boundaries for the next general election in 2014. It has no influence, however, on what happens in the local body elections.
Because there will be an extra general seat created in Auckland because of population growth, giving a total of 64 general seats plus 7 Māori seats. So how does that affect the greater Waikato region? Are we going to be affected by Auckland getting more seats?
Well, we are, and populations, as we've experienced over the years, move north, and so electorates move north because that's where the population growth is. And Auckland's going to get a new seat, a new electoral seat. Around about 60,000 people has been created, so that's where the extra number comes from. It doesn't increase the number of MPs, however. All it does is increases the number of electorate MPs and reduces the number of lists, so the number of MPs remains the same. So what happens is that because there's a seat created there, and to the south of this electorate, they need more numbers because populations are moving north. Then the electoral boundaries for the Waikato electorate at the next election are going to move well north. In fact, right on the outskirts of Pukekohe and Waiuku. So it's going to be a big shift from south of Matamata right up through the Matamata Plains and the Waikato to north of the Waikato River.
So does that mean that the Waikato electorate will now be bigger?
Not bigger, bigger in terms of its geographic location, and living in the southeast corner where I live in Matamata, and now having to go well north, it makes it pretty difficult to service, but population-wise, the population on the provisional boundaries is around about 61,700 people within what is going to be the Waikato electorate. And electorates generally are going to have around about the same numbers of people, and as an area grows in population, so it shrinks. And its boundaries shrink because the population's grown, and where electorates need numbers, they have to expand. And so I've lost a lot of area from my patch. I've lost west of Hamilton City out to Raglan. That's going into the King Country electorate. The area around Horatu and Horsham Downs is going into Hamilton West. And the area on the Firth of Thames around Mangatangi, Kaiara and Miranda, that's going into the Coromandel electorate. So that's why this new seat of Waikato is going to be north of the Waikato River on the outskirts of Pukekohe and Waiuku.
So it's kind of squeezing up the country now.
It is. It makes it a long way to travel. When I get in the car to have to go further north, it takes quite a while. But that's what happens. This is under the MMP system and the number of seats that we have under the mixed member proportional electoral system. This is how it works, and so electorates can get very large.
And that's going to have no effect on local body, though, is it?
No. Local body boundaries have got nothing to do with what we do. And in fact, I have part of Auckland will be part of my area now, and Waikato District Council, Hamilton, part of Hamilton City, Matamata Piako is part of mine, and Waipa District Council. So I have to deal with a number of local body politicians as well, and mayors, but that's how it works. So the local body boundaries, the local TLAs, Territorial Local Authorities, are not influenced by the boundaries for the general elections.
It would make sense to coincide the two, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, it's a numbers game. It's all a numbers game, and under the system we have now, communities of interest, that's not a criteria. I mean, the people who are living on the sort of on the outskirts of Pukekohe will have actually no affinity with the people who live south of Matamata or, there is no community of interest. It's just a matter of these are how the boundaries are set. This is the area one gets to represent, and it's a numbers game. And that applies to all electorates, unless, of course, you're in an urban seat like the two Hamiltons or Rotorua or Tauranga, which are very clearly defined. There are communities of interest there, but in rural electorates, there is no community of interest.
So how do you govern in such a wide area? As you said, the transport's going to be, logistically, it's going to be, you know, crap problem. So how do you do
Well,
go about?
I have offices strategically placed. I have one at Te Kauphere, one in Cambridge and one in Matamata. And so my secretaries work there, and they have, if people want to see me, they come there. Or on a lot of occasions, which has happened today, I've been to people's businesses and I've been to their homes. Accessibility for a Member of Parliament's important. I'm in the phone book, people can ring me up, they can email me, and I have my offices, so I try and make myself available, and it's about accessibility. So distance, while it's important if you need to go to events, we do have other means of communicating, and they can communicate with me.
Well, all these changes, it sounds like it's going to make for an interesting election year. Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Good. Can I take this opportunity to wish all your viewers a very enjoyable festive season, Christmas and the New Year with families and friends. It's a time to get together and reflect, and it's a great opportunity for families to get together. So I trust all your viewers will have an enjoyable time for the festive season and 2014. Happy New Year.
You can make objections to these changes, and the final decision will be made in April 2014. Just ahead, the new vintage market in Hamilton. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Marketplace is the first of a quarterly indoor market to be held in Hamilton. The market offers a fantastic range of vintage and retro goods. It is a great place to find original Christmas gift ideas. Harriet went to find out more.
Okay, I came up with the concept of Marketplace a few months ago after doing Atomic Market, which is a vintage and rockabilly market held in Hamilton once a year. I wanted to do one that was a little bit more regular, which is why we're quarterly, and wanted one that included handmade items by friends and people that I know from other markets who are just wanting somewhere else to sell their clothing and crafts and that sort of thing.
And what sort of goods and stalls will the market showcase?
Marketplace is all about the love of vintage and retro items. Heaps of collectors there. We've got crown lin, depression glass, we've got kitsch animals, beveled mirrors, anything that you would have seen in probably your grandma's house, we'll have it there. It's also really about showcasing some of the Hamilton designers and local craftspeople. So one of the stallholders we'll have at Marketplace is Mallory Xavier. She makes preschoolers clothing, and for example one of these, which is a blossom skirt, which my daughter owns. I borrowed that from her this morning. She also makes teddy bears, hats, anything like that. So they're perfect for Christmas gifts.
Now your market is also raising funds through a sausage sizzle and cake stand, so can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, I've organised for Ballyfull Hamilton to come in and do the cake stand and the sausage sizzle. They need to do fundraising ongoing so they can keep doing what they do. And they help provide support and nutritional meals for families with newborns who don't have a supportive network. Maybe they're new to the area or don't have their family here.
Tell us about the logistics of this first market. So when and where is it?
Okay, Marketplace is on the Saturday, 8 till 12 at Hillcrest Chapel, which is on the corner of Masters Ave and Morris Road in Hillcrest. We will have signs on there from Cobden Drive for those coming into town for it.
And what if we have some viewers who perhaps make their own handmade or vintage goods? Can they get involved at all?
They can. Primarily I'm asking people to come through the Facebook page, which is Marketplace Hamilton, because I'd like to keep the page going between markets with updates from our stallholders with any sales they're having, or letting people know where the next market is that they'll be going to in between. So you can contact me through Facebook, or you can go through Event Finder or What's on Hamilton.
And what sort of people do you think will love Marketplace?
I think everybody will love Marketplace. Definitely the collectors, there's a great range there. But also anyone who needs to buy gifts for school children, heaps of clothing there, upcycled clothing. So if you love vintage, retro, upcycled, handmade, and it's also about promoting the local Hamilton people as well.
What's your favourite thing about being involved with Marketplace?
The best thing about being involved with Marketplace is really just doing something that I'm passionate about. I love promoting Hamilton businesses. I like being able to promote buying vintage and retro, or just having a look for something to do. It's great nostalgia for people. It reminds them of, you know, their nana and their grandparents, their dinner sets and the glassware and furniture. I also like the idea of the conscious consumer, or thinking about what you're buying second-hand instead of new as well.
So what do you want to promote through Marketplace and the vintage scene in Hamilton?
At Marketplace, we're trying to promote people buying locally, from local businesses, your neighbour, the person who sells on Facebook, who lives just around the corner from you. We're wanting people to think about what they buy before they buy it. So perhaps buying second-hand before they go and buy something new. There are so many second-hand items out there which are of good quality and made in New Zealand.
And why would you encourage people to come along to the first Marketplace this Saturday, maybe even if they aren't from Hamilton and live out of town?
Marketplace is definitely worth a trip to Hamilton for. Apart from having about 30 stallholders, you're going to be able to fill up your Christmas list in a flash. We've got something for everybody. We've got items that you're not going to be able to find everywhere else. They're all one-off, it's unique. And
what's your future vision for Marketplace in the years to come, and I guess seeing it grow over the years?
I would love for Marketplace to be seen as something that Hamilton is proud of. It's a scene, it's the vintage and retro people having somewhere to go when they're wanting to buy something new for their home, new clothing, accessories. I'd love for people to come and be able to go there knowing that they're buying from a local person.
Just how popular is the vintage scene at the moment?
I think the vintage and retro scene at the moment is growing in popularity. In the time that we've been doing markets, my husband and I sell collectibles through our website and at markets around the area, Teacup and Saucer. We've noticed it grow, and we've noticed that it's not just about people buying collectibles because they're reminiscing about, you know, family members, but it's about a scene of people wanting to dress in vintage dresses, their hair and makeup. It's about wanting to learn how to make preserves, how to sew your own clothes. It's about burlesque. There's burlesque classes you can do in Hamilton. So we're definitely seeing a younger group of people in their 20s and 30s becoming involved, whereas they might not have been before. So it's definitely an exciting scene to be a part of at the moment.
And finally, when will the next market be, and how can we find out more?
Our next market's Saturday, March 1st, in the same venue. You can find out more on Event Finder, What's on Hamilton, and of course Facebook. I really am hoping that people come to the Facebook page so that they can see what the other stallholders have to offer during the off months as well.
If you are interested in seeing what will be on offer at the first Marketplace, head down to Hillcrest Chapel on the 14th of December, that's tomorrow night, from 8 till 12 p.m. That is the news for today and this week. If you have your own news, like us on Facebook and send us a message or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz. Thanks for joining us. I will be back next week with more guests from in and around our regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.